Hey, this is Vu, and today we're going to be doing a demo review of Jeffro. He's Jeffro in my chat. Again, you're more likely to get your stuff done if you're in the chat asking me about it occasionally. Don't spam me, thank you. He's MG1. Alright, so Jeffro is going to do my strat, which is cool. Peek out in the A main. Nobody's there. I would prefer if you pushed it a little bit quicker here. Generally, one of the best things about this strat is that you actually you push through A main, you come up behind them, and then you can Molotov off the plant spot. Whereas if you come from CT or you come from here or here, you can't Molotov off the plant spot. I don't like it that much. Also, one of the best parts about the strat is like this is like getting from here to here is like pretty similar in time as getting from here to here. Like it's a pretty long rotate over through here. It's a little bit quicker, but if you add in like the 3 or 4 seconds you save by pushing here earlier, then the timing's going to be pretty similar, and if the timing's similar, getting on the flank is a good idea. So he's going to end up coming through vents. Now he's got a Molotov. He should be using this Molotov as soon as possible. Now, as soon as he spots that guy, actually, personally, I would have spotted that guy, threw my Molotov out, had it land here, and then peeked out and stopped him from dropping into sight. Because then you would have been able to catch him in transition there. Because obviously he has a Tech 9, he's not going to have any armor. So it's better if you can like force him to be fully exposed so you can kill him, like make him, like punish him for not having armor there. Alright, then gonna throw a smoke there in A main, which is great, with an MP9, which is fine. Pushing into A main, so I can see the goal here was to push into A main early, which generally you don't want to do with an MP9, or on anti-ecos, especially when you smoke it. Sometimes I'll throw my normal flash, like the pistol round flash that pops up here, and then peek in front of it just to clear out A main. It'll work quite well, and then if they're rushing it, I'll hear them when I'm around here, and I can just sit back here and play it from there. But generally, smoking it and then pushing it isn't going to be a good idea, because if their goal was to rush it, a lot of the time they're going to catch you really close range. They're going to catch you running out of a smoke. They're going to get out of the smoke and gay your teammate who thinks you're clearing it, that type of thing. Yeah. So generally I wouldn't smoke then push it. Either smoke it or push it. Yeah. Especially because by smoking it then pushing it, you're also delaying a little bit, which is not good. You don't want to waste that time. Okay, now you know they have AKs, and you're pushing up to try and get an angle on them when they have AKs, which is actually pretty cool. I kind of like that. The thought process there is like, they're like, maybe it was not the initial thought process. Basically, if you think they're saving, pushing A main's a bad idea, or pushing past here is a bad idea. What you do instead is you could get in here, but preferably you would you would peek out, clear this, then hold the angle and wait for them to come, just because you can stay long range. They won't be able to kill you if they've got pistols. If you're expecting that they're buying, then pushing up makes a lot of sense, because you want to catch someone off guard, because your whole team was saving as well, right? So you need to do something, right? If your whole team's on SMGs and their team's buying, I mean, the majority of the time you won't win unless you do something that catches them off guard, and so catching them off guard like that would have been a great idea. Now, optimally here, you want to be looking this direction while you jump up. You don't want to have to stare at the cement crates to jump up, generally. Yeah. Now here, what you want to be doing, don't be up here when the smoke dissipates. This is a really bad angle to be holding. What you want to be doing is, as like a few seconds before the smoke dissipates, then you come over here, because all you're doing, like, you're getting a couple seconds more of holding an angle, but then you're gonna have 5 or 6 seconds, like 4 or 5 seconds where you're in the middle of the open, an easy kill, especially because, I mean, not only do you have to think about it like they have you outgunned, because an AK, like imagine the AK as if you're fighting, like an AK versus an M4 is kind of like an M4 versus a FAMAS. Like, I mean, the damage isn't that dissimilar, but one gun is clearly better, and if you're to stick in an engagement there, I mean, the AK should win more often than not. If it was like you fighting against you, you should generally win with the AK, assuming you don't like have you're not just bad with the AK or anything. If the guy is the same level as you, he should almost always like win that engagement with an AK, which is not good in the first place, especially if you factor in the fact that this is a CT-sided map. You don't want to do that. Now, at this point, your teammate does have control of the bomb here, and he's fighting someone, so you might want to kind of think about what you're doing here. So now you've got okay, there's a guy here, a guy here. He probably, if you called both of them here, then you should be moving. Looks like he probably only called one there. So you're kind of in a weird spot. Again, I don't like holding straight angles. This is like a straight angle here. And the reason I don't like holding that is generally, like, they're going to peek that, and they're probably going to kill you when you have a rifle. I mean, they're just going to peek it. Yeah. So now you're in here. Okay. This is a bad spot. If you think they can come from here, then this is a bad spot. So you would have to move here. What you would want to do... So if you know one's here, and okay, so one's here, bomb's down here with your teammate, and the other guy's a question mark. What you want to be doing here, instead of what you're doing, you should have pushed up into here, cleared out this whole area, and then gone back and then focused on this whole area. And the reason for that is, or you could have pushed out, cleared this whole area, and then walked and flanked Squeaky, just so you have a better control, because now they're coming from here. And they could potentially be coming from here, right? For all you know, right? Which is just terrible, right? You have to watch two angles, because if someone comes through A main, you're dead, right? And if someone comes through Squeaky, your teammate's dead, right? So it would be better to try and get some information there, because in a 2-on-2 here, you do have the advantage because the bomb's down, but you're in a bad spot. You'd be better to be in so many other spots, and you could be getting shot from so many different angles here. Like, being quad would be optimal kind of in this situation. You have him Squeaky, him quad, but because you were an A main, I think walking out and pushing here would be best, because in this type of scenario where you can get shot from multiple angles, basically you're kind of in a 1v2 if they come towards A main, which is just bad. And they're going to be expecting you to be A main. They're going to clear A main. They're like, but I guess one thing to remember here is it's more likely that they're going to come through Squeaky, so you don't really have to worry about this too much. But at the same time, it would just be better for you to go around behind Squeaky. So you're going to be able to find one kill here. You miss the next shots, and then you know he picks up the bomb. Okay. Now, what you want to be doing here, in my eyes, is not sitting here. I'd be strafing out, like, towards Forklift, like, looking at this guy, because as soon as he gets in sight, actually, I mean, it makes sense what you're doing as well. Basically, what's going to happen here, the bomb's going to get planted, and now you're going to know he's in sight, but as soon as he starts planting the bomb, you want to be right around the corner here, like right next to the corner, so as soon as the bomb starts getting planted, you can get out of A main without running it, because then you remain this somewhat advantageous position, because what's happening here, he's planted the bomb now, and this is what I was worried about. This is why I was saying pushing through would have made a little bit of sense, because by sitting back, now he knows you're A main. He's got that knowledge, and you're not out of A main. Waiting for the bomb plant makes sense if you immediately push out, so you can get like here, or you can get like here, so you're in an angle that he's not expecting, and you can kind of catch him off guard. But waiting for him to plant and then sitting A main doesn't make that much sense. That's why I wanted to push out earlier, because you kind of do have to push out quickly, but he could fake plant and then kill you. That's why I would push out earlier, but actually waiting for him to plant the bomb is a little bit safer of a play. However, personally, I would have strafed out towards here as soon as he started to plant. I guess it's definitely dangerous. He could possibly fake, but I feel like it's more likely that he doesn't fake just because he's planting safe, and there's no reason to really fake that much when you plant safe. You're taking a huge risk. And then there... You focus too long on this side. Again, you want to get out as quickly as possible because he knows you're A main. He's got that information. You don't want to let him hold on to that and continue to have that information. And then at some you can't throw a flash there. It's just too dangerous to throw that flash. So you miss your flash. Don't peek after you miss. You want to peek in front of that flash, because that flash against good players, that flash should never blind anybody. You want to be peeking in front of it, because they'll turn around and you'll shoot them in the back. The reason this flash that pops up high is good is because people will often crouch behind here thinking they won't get blind, and they'll still get blind, but you still want to peek in front of it. You generally do, personally I like to play this angle early, because you'll catch that first guy off guard, because a lot of the time that guy there might kill you, or at least he's going to have a decent engage on you. You got shot in the back there, nothing you could do in that scenario, but I like to play that off angle a little bit more, but there's nothing wrong with what you did there, especially because you jumped up on the ledge there, which makes a lot of sense. Nothing much there. Someone just said in chat, no flashes or nades in 1v1s. It reveals your position, which is true. But once he knows where you are, then throwing some flashes and nades does make sense. Because, I mean, you don't need to hide your position once he knows where you are. But the reason I didn't want you throwing a flash there is just because as you threw that flash, especially because he was tending to peek out on you there, and because of the spot he was in sight, he was kind of... Okay, let's just move so you're not white here. Because, sitting behind here, he can juke around both sides, he can peek either side. He's tending to continue to peek you, and you don't want to pull a flash out against someone that wants to peek you. But that's the danger of throwing flashes and nades in 1v1s, is they're often going to peek out on you. Because the only reason you should throw a flash or nade is once they already know where you are. But if they know where you are, you're in danger of them peeking out on you. So there's very specific scenarios where you want to be throwing flashes and nades. There, you gotta scope in. You're just missing some shots here. So you just totally blinded the shit out of your teammate, which is obviously not bad, and then you kind of came out in the middle of the open. From my demo reviews, this is what I've seen the most. People come out in the middle of the open and shoot. You shouldn't do that. You could have peeked out, gotten that one guy, and then you go like this, okay? So you peek out, get the first guy, you strafe out, shooting at the first guy, and then the second guy there, you know you're not going to kill him. So instead of strafing out and sitting back and forth, shooting at him, what you do is you come back, you start to back off like this while still shooting, and then you get away as soon as you're out of ammo. It's something important. It's important to remember your ability to actually, you need to recognize how much ammo you have, because if you recognize after that first kill, you're not going to kill the second guy, you just strafe back, you try and get away while shooting, because if you try and get away after you're done and your clip is out, you're gonna be dead most of the time. 2-on-5 here, you should just save your guns. So it feels like you don't really have a good idea of what you want to be doing from round to round, which is just not really very good. You want to kind of solidify your positioning, I guess, but I mean, it's whatever. You do kind of have to switch it up at A. That's right there is the reason I don't like playing from there. There are a few better spots you can play. I'd play behind forklift, or behind forklift. You can play in front of squeaky, because if they try and open the door into you, it's going to open backwards, in which case you can spin around and get a good kill. You can play here as well. Those are all spots that I prefer more. Or you could even play up on this here. Even though it's dangerous, you could get peeked from squeaky, I prefer it. Now you're going to end up going B. I don't generally like holding that angle. I prefer to hold the wide angle over here, because people aren't going to expect it quite as much. You can get the one kill, fall back, re-peek. You can do all your work from inside of checkers. You don't necessarily... holding that angle, the problem with holding that angle here, if they rush B, they'll beat you. You won't be able to fall back. which you need to stay aware of. If you sit here and they rush B, you'll get 1 kill for free, basically, the first guy running around the corner, and then the second guy, you'll have to re-peek on him, but usually you'll pretty much be guaranteed 2, because when you re-peek, you're going to be re-peeking into like a cloud of people, so it's pretty easy to get that kill. Or you could just bounce a flash off this wall here, comes through the door, and then you could peek out around here, which is a little bit less guaranteed of a kill, but you'll oftentimes get more than 2. So again, you just came around the corner kind of weird. What you want to be doing there is like quick peeking and checking. So what you can do instead of what you did there is like, you know he's around here, you just quick peek, take a couple shots, and then full peek once you know where he is. Because once you know where he is, then you can full peek and just try and like catch him off guard after quick peeking. But generally you don't want to full peek like that. You run around the corner because you don't know where he is. You have that reaction time added on. You don't want to do that. So you've got an AK. Gonna get 1 exit, 1 on 2 here. You're not gonna win this, or you don't have the time if they play this at all good. Like I wouldn't have even gone for that. I might have gone for that op and then fallen back, because I mean, even against bad teams, all they have to do is not die instantly, right? That's all they have to do is not die instantly. Because if they just wait, if one guy was to sit like quad there and the other guy was to sit plant spot, you would, even if you ran directly towards the bomb, you would just barely be able to defuse it. Like, the only reason you win that round is if they both peek out that same angle. So they nearly actually gave it to you, but you can't assume that they're going to do that. So you've got 2 rounds basically over at this point. You should just be playing. I mean, you can go as aggressive as you want. I mean, you're in a 5-on-2. It really doesn't matter. So this here is the problem with that angle. This guy can get that, like, get weirdly in front of you like that. Whatever. So you got 1 pick. Now you want to fall back. Generally, you don't need to be playing 2B. So generally, what you want to be doing is going B early and then falling back over to the other side, over to somewhere else. Yeah. And there's that pick. You're in the middle of the open from middle, which is very dangerous. You have to be considering that. Generally, if I was going to peek this, I'd come here, throw a flash off here. It'll bounce out, blow up right here, and then quick peek around, and then maybe peek out. But after that, it's pretty dangerous to kind of peek all the way around.
Deploying flashbang. Smoke. Flashbang.
So now what you want to be doing here is, if you think there could be coming B, getting in this site as quickly as possible, but now the bomb's down in A. You shouldn't be standing here with the bomb down in A. Are you just getting no communication here? That should be a pretty straightforward communication. Like, the bomb's down A, you should be going towards A. And you end up winning the round anyway, so that's cool. Oops, where's my mouse cursor? There we go. So heading into this round, you're going to throw the flash, which is cool, but you totally blind yourself with that flash. And now you're running into sight. I liked what you did here. You didn't just run straight into sight. You checked that heaven, and then your team's going to get the kills there. Now, the problem here is that you're all in sight, but I'd say that's more the fault of the other guy in sight. The bomb planter was cool. Actually, that wasn't a flash. That was a decoy, which is cool. Generally what you want to do is you want to hug this wall here until you get to like this sight line, and then jump out. The first guy should always jump around the corner in a rush like that. The most important part, because the only way that a counter-terrorist is going to get like a multi-frag round is if he kills the first guy, then the second guy, then the third, like he kills them tap, 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 or that's the main way it's done. So if the first guy jumps around, that guy's going to waste that first couple bullets shooting at the first guy, and then the second 2 guys are going to be around the corner right afterwards, so there's going to be 3 guys shooting at him while he still had no chance of getting a kill, basically, and then you're all firing at him. He's going to get no more than 1 most of the time. Yeah. Now 5-on-1, round's over. So you smoke out, gonna head out. Okay, so first guy out should be coming around like this and clearing out there, because if you run by there and into sight and this guy is there, you're dead anyways, right? And then you also didn't check this angle, you didn't check this, you're not clearing your sights. You're not clearing sight at all. You have to check every corner as if you expect someone to actually be there. Okay, instead of peeking around that box, you should have peeked over it. This guy was already shooting at a teammate that went behind that box, so you're basically, all you're doing for him is like, he's shooting at a teammate, and then you strafe into that sight line. You always want to be taking a separate sight line when shooting at someone that's shooting at your teammate. You should have pulled out your knife a little bit faster there. Okay, so generally what you want to be doing here is running up, hugging this wall, hug the wall, hug the wall, hug the wall, hug the wall, and then strafe out and crouch out just at this angle. You went a little bit wide. Look where your dead body is. You were out here. You don't need to be that wide. You want to be as narrow of an angle as possible while still clearing out everything. So you can either hug the wall and then strafe out like that, or you can just come right up over the box. Both are better than what you did there. There's a nice kill in mid. Now going from there, going towards Squeaky, which is cool. Your teammate's already out. You do have to worry about peeking that boosted spot. Again, you're not really checking, you're not clearing your angles very well. You didn't clear out quad, even though your teammate ran past quad, and you have to recognize that. Your teammate, first guy out, he runs like this. Okay, that means someone could easily still be quad, so running with your back turned to that is going to get you killed a lot. It's an interesting flash, but I mean, that kind of feeds into my idea that a lot of people spend too much time learning flashes and nades as compared to learning actual important gameplay mechanics. But whatever. It worked out. Get that kill in mid. Running with the mags. Generally, what you want to be doing is running with your pistol out up until you get to very close range angles. So, like, as soon as you get to where you are now, then you pull out the Mag 7 and you jump up and down. Because the Mag 7 is really good at jump shotting, so you can jump up and down and clear this whole area out without taking much risk. And personally, I'd prefer to go into Z because this whole area is very close range. And then if you get through that area, a lot of the time you're going to be behind people, right? So, like, a lot of the time you're not even going to find people that are looking at you, or if they're looking at you, they're very close range. Whereas here, they're going to be looking at you from here. Okay, so they're going to be looking at you from here, from forklift, from catwalk, from CT, from this angle. None of these angles are good, or from this angle when you're still mid. None of those angles are good angles for you to take with a Deagle and a Mag 7. And now you've got your Mag 7 out. You're using your Mag 7 in the exact opposite way that you should. You should have your Deagle out here. Your Mag 7 is never going to kill anybody if they come from that long of a range. This is where you pull out your Mag 7. That exact scenario. Like that, like as you got that shot, that's where I'd be pulling out my Mag 7. Now you've got an AK again, your teammate boosts and gets a kill and dies, so now you know they're saving, so hopefully your team should just be running around and like going towards one site together and getting kills, but all you need to do here is grab that bomb, go back with your team, which is great. Personally, what is the point in this, right? Like, you shouldn't have even asked for a boost, because all you're doing by asking for a boost, like, if you just went with your team there, you for sure win the round 100% of the time, and I mean, basically sure win the round 90% of the time, 99% of the time anyways, but what could potentially happen is this guy comes up behind you and just kills you there, and that's not something you want. Instead, you just go with your team and get into spots where you don't die, like 100% of the time, you know? And now again, you're in the middle of the open here. You could easily die in the back. You know, it's very possible. There's no reason for you to be here, right? He's not saving a gun. Even if he was saving a gun, it doesn't really matter at this point. Like, why? Like, why be there? So now 14-8. You're running in. I don't like the way you're running in A main here. If you're gonna be going A main, hold this angle for a little while and then go along here, and let your teammate here, this guy here, get here. Because as you hug this angle, a lot of teams and a lot of players, especially if they're saving, which they are going to be throwing a flash. You need to be recognizing that. Early round, you don't want to be taking angles that are easy to get blinded, because you're scoped in here. It's going to be very hard for you to turn from a flash. Like, you shouldn't be going this way really early. But now they're saving. This round should be yours pretty easily. Going on. Now you're going to try and peek mid. Personally, I would peek into that Molotov, even though it's really, really, really risky. When people throw a Molotov there, what you could have done is you could have come up, hugged the box, and then peeked in front of it, and you probably would have taken a little bit of damage, but you actually would have gotten past it after a couple feet, and you would have had an interesting peek, because a lot of the time, teams aren't going to be looking at Molotovs when they throw it like that. If possible, if you spot out any gap in that at all, if there's a tiny gap in the front or a tiny gap in the back, then you for sure peek right out through, like behind it or in front of it, because 9 out of 10 times they're just not going to be looking at a Molotov that they throw. Now, if there's no gap, generally you shouldn't, but in that scenario, I feel like it's worth it to peek out, quickly clear out this lane here, and then fall back. You'll take about 35 damage or so, but it's worth it in my eyes, because if anybody is there, it's an easy kill. And then you end up dying, which is not good, but it's not really your fault. Down 59 now. So a good kill there. You shot a little bit before you stopped, which isn't good, but you managed it. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. The first guy, when you get that kill, you need to be the aggressor here, okay? You got that, like, okay, let's go back for a second. Let's go back just a second here. This comes with time, your ability to recognize this ability here, but it's really important that you recognize this, okay? So you're coming through B. Oh, whoops, looking at the wrong guy. Okay, you just got that kill here. And look where your team is. Look how farther up, how much further up you are. Then look at these rotates. Look at these two guys. They're so far away. You get that kill, you immediately push into CT, you'll get some kills on people in CT. And I know pushing into CT, people don't like it that much, but generally, in pugs, you're going to find it to be a very successful strategy, okay? Because generally what's going to happen is they're going to be running with their knives out into CT spawn. You can get aggressive. Or, I mean, if you don't feel comfortable pushing into CT and taking those engagements, you can instead push up and get, like, and clear out sight. Just make sure sight's clear. Yeah, it's just really important that you make sure sight's clear here, because like the rest of your team, someone could be standing here waiting for them to come through the smoke. They're dead. So what I would do here, come out, clear this angle, come out. I would push CT because I'm a really aggressive player. You could even try smoking this off and then getting control of CT. But I mean, if you don't feel comfortable with that, I feel comfortable with that because I'm pretty confident in my ability to kill guys that are running through there, especially in pugs. In scrims, it's going to be a little bit harder, but in pugs, it works really well. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, you come up here, clear out sight, and then come back, sit here, and smoke off CT spawn. Instead, you sit here, so your team now, you have no control of sight. You could be in sight with the bomb planted, like, in a couple seconds here if you'd played this correctly. Yeah. So you are going to throw the smoke, but again, you're not getting aggressively positioned. You are the guy that needs to be getting aggressively positioned, because these two guys, they were back over here, like here, I think, when you got your initial kill. They shouldn't be pushing in because they're going to be another 3, 4, 5 seconds after you, and they should be the guys. That second guy comes into checkers here and covers from here, and you are the guy in sight because you had a better position there. So you took the shot there. There are two things you can do when you take that shot. Number one, unpeak because you don't need to get that kill. That kill is not important. The important bit is that you've now made him scared of coming into checkers, because as soon, like, he's got an op there and he knows you're behind the box and you've damaged him, he's now going to be afraid of going into checkers, and then all you do is you can jump up and down over it, or you can just hide, and then like quick peek it once with like your knife out, just so he can't shoot you. You can quick peek it, get that information. I like to do it with my knife out sometimes, just so that like I can get that information without him having a chance of killing me. Or you wait for your teammate to spot that guy and then you peek out. Or the third thing you can do, you take a few shots here. If you recognize that you hit him for about 50 damage, as soon as he unpeaks there, like if you hit him for, I'd say if you feel like you hit him for 70 plus damage, instead of unpeaking, it's a little bit more dangerous, but what you do is you come over to the side like this and crouch down. Because what's going to happen is this opera is going to peek out like this, trying to clear out that box again, and you're going to kill him. It's an easy one shot, because he's going to peek out, even if he peeks out wide, he's going to peek out expecting you to be boxed, and it's one shot you need to land. It's pretty easy to do so. Okay, what you're doing here is you're being a little bit too stationary when you're shooting. What you want to be doing is like peeking out, stopping, shooting, unpeaking immediately. Like stop, like peek, shoot, unpeak, peek, shoot, unpeak. And the reason for that is like, especially against pistols, but against rifles as well. You're stopping for a little bit longer than you need to, which is putting them in an easy, like the spot to get easier kills there. After that, you should have actually gone up Speedway, because your team isn't in sight yet. If your team was in sight, then sitting in Z would have been okay, but you actually saw this guy as well. You knew this guy was here if you had the awareness. But you should have been hitting up Speedway just to clear out, I mean, the whole site's open, right? Someone says you got to work on your recoil control. Yeah, you absolutely do have to work on your recoil control. One thing you're doing is, I mentioned this in my AK guide, you're shooting and then tapping and then tapping and then bursting and then shooting, and you're not letting your recoil reset. What you want to be doing is bursting, 3 or 4 bullets, waiting for it to reset, bursting again, waiting, bursting, waiting, bursting. You don't want to be shooting the way you're shooting. You're shooting in a very incorrect manner. It's just bad.
Throwing a grenade.
So now you're sitting mid, waiting, peeking out here after. I don't like holding that angle very much, but it's okay. Again, you're taking the angle a little bit too wide there. You're kind of aiming at his feet there. You need to be aiming near his head when you came around that corner. And that's just some awareness. You're lacking in the awareness category, pretty badly. And that's it. Okay.